Hey everybody, welcome to your September Coronado Market update. This is data that I am collecting through MLS, but also doing some synthesis on my own and keeping track of. This is different than any data that you're going to find anywhere else. This is data is typically organized by zip code. So in this case, Coronado is 85006. When you see an 85006 market update, that includes areas that function very, very differently than Coronado. Garfield in particular, I actually track Garfield data as well. It functions in a very different way. It is in a very different place actually than Coronado is at this particular time because it's a little bit less expensive over there. It's feeling a little bit more of the pressure of the lower end of the market, which is part of the market that's hurting right now. Same goes for the other side of the 51. I am measuring the greater Coronado area, so that means in my opinion, and I'm sure there's plenty of definitions on this, but in my opinion and the boundaries that I am using for the purpose of this video are basically Thomas, 7th Street, the 10 on the south end, and the 51 on the east end. Kind of what I've heard talked a lot about as being a greater Coronado. What we're kind of seeing right now is it's a little bit of a rebound, honestly, from the bottom of the summer. It's not necessarily a full-blown trend. We do kind of typically see a rebound in the numbers in the fall, but given how bad things have been, to be honest with you, over the course of the summer, it's nice to see these numbers kind of pop back. Hopefully this is a longer-term trend, not just part of the fall. If it is part of the fall, then we will begin to see these numbers trend down again in fourth quarter, which starts in October. We start into the holiday season and the market kind of typically slows down. We will wait until that time, but in the meantime, let's get into the numbers. Starting with the number of active homes on the market, we can see that this number climbed throughout most of the first half of the year with a peak kind of in mid-July and then has started to drop. Now this is a market-wide trend. Many of the southern cities that were very popular during COVID are seeing kind of similar trends where we're actually seeing quite a few sellers that were excited at the beginning of the year about the market and listed their homes and did not have success, so they're pulling them off or letting them expire. So this is not just a Coronado thing. This is something that's happening kind of nationally. It does tighten the market up a little bit for sellers and makes it a little bit less of a buyer's market than it has been. Pending home sales gives us an idea of what's upcoming as far as sales go. These are homes that have been put under contract but have not closed yet. We can see that this number has trended downward, generally speaking, throughout the year. Obviously, there's some variability there, but if you look at the general line, it's downward. There has been a little bit of a rebound here over the last month and a half or so. Hopefully that continues and shows us that the market is starting to come back to life. New listings over the previous week. We see a lot of variability in this number. No real trend line, really. No cause for concern. No real trends whatsoever. Sold in the last 30 days. This is a snapshot of what we've seen happen in the last 30 days. In particular, the numbers of homes that have sold kind of gives us an idea of the up-to-the-minute activity going on in the neighborhood. You can see that this has trended downward kind of throughout the year with a bottoming out in August. Starting to see a little bit of rebound there. After that bottoming out in August, and hopefully we'll continue to see that trend going forward into September and October. Sold over the last 6 months. Now this is more of an aggregated number, a snapshot of what's gone on over the last 6 months. You can see that this number is pretty flat. We started out early on in the year with a number of about 40. We've kind of hovered around the 40 to 50 range throughout the year. Average price drop. This is the amount that the listing price has dropped, or the average amount that the listing price has dropped since it was first listed across all listings in the neighborhood. Higher numbers are bad. This number bottomed out in June and has kind of been gradually increasing since, not a ton. This is kind of an indication of seller confidence or maybe a mismatch in seller expectations and buyer expectations. But so it isn't a huge amount of an increase. Obviously, it was much higher earlier in the spring, but we have definitely seen this start to increase a little bit. Average sale price over the last 30 days. This is our short-term indicator, short-term rolling indicator of what's going on in the market. So it just is a snapshot of what's going on over the last 30 days and is somewhat more volatile. You can see that this number has pretty much dropped since about March, more or less on a steady downward decline until about the beginning of August. Now, average sales price over the last 6 months, this is the longer term snapshot of what's going on in the market. Now, you can see that we've got a pretty steep drop off here in the last couple of weeks. This is showing basically numbers from March all the way through September. I think what's probably going on with that steep of a decline is some of the bigger sales, the larger sales that were in March and February were probably dropped off of this chart. And so therefore we're seeing what looks like a major price drop. We have generally seen a summer where only smaller homes have been selling in Coronado, so I don't feel super alarmed about this just yet. That is about a 10% drop from the peak in early March to now. Hopefully we'll get in to see these numbers turn around as those higher numbers fall out. I'm not super concerned about this number just yet. The average closed price per square foot. Now this number has trended up almost the entire year. This again kind of shows what I was talking about in the last slide, that we are seeing a trend of smaller homes selling this year and a lot of the larger homes not hitting the market in the neighborhood. We do have a huge variety of sizes in the neighborhood, from anywhere from 600-700 square feet all the way up into the 2,000 square feet, which makes Coronado quite a bit different than most neighborhoods in the valley. We did see the numbers begin to trend in the opposite direction for August, but overall prices have been up throughout the year. Average days on market for active pending and closed. You can see that these numbers have trended down for most of the year with a slight uptick in the last few weeks. The opposite is true for the actives, with the numbers heading up for most of the year and then recently dropping a little bit. This reinforces, once again, I'm going to say it, I'm going to preach it, the importance of pricing your home correctly if you decide you are going to sell. If you do not, you will probably sit on the market for a long time. Buyers will not reward a high overpriced home. If you do hit the market and you're not seeing the showings, you need to adjust the price quickly in order to get the traffic you need to sell your home. Okay, there you have it, folks. Our September market update for the Coronado neighborhood. As you can see, kind of a mixed bag with numbers. There are some signs that maybe the market is rebounding. Not enough data yet to know if that's a for sure thing or just maybe a fall thing. We kind of typically have a upswing in the market in the fall. So we will see if that remains after we get through some of this initial back to school stuff. If you have any interest in buying or selling a home, if you have more questions about this data, you can call me at 480-694-7643 or message me here in the comments. If you would like to continue to get regular updates on the market, both here in Coronado as well as the entirety of Central Phoenix, you can always like or subscribe. And I look forward to talking to you in a couple weeks.